Welcome back to Milan Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shotgrass, and in today's video I'm actually going to be talking to you about this interesting mixing console and why in some ways it's the best mixing console we've ever purchased, and at the same time it's the worst mixer we've ever bought from Milan Recording Studios. And I'm also going to tell you guys about eBay and why we're not going to be purchasing any more vintage equipment from eBay anytime soon. But first of all, this mixing console. Although you can recognize that it is a mixing console, you probably know nothing at all about it other than that. And that's because it was made by a small British company called Audix. Audix, like I said, was a British mixing console company that existed from the 70s on through the 90s, and I think they died sometime around 1993 or 1996. They made mixers in very, very limited numbers. The serial number on this bad boy is 1147, and they were actually nearly exclusively used by the BBC. This particular mixer has a sticker on it indicating that it was an ex-BBC mixer, which I think is just fantastic. So why did these Audix mixers have such a good sound quality, and why did the BBC almost exclusively use these? Well, many Audix employees were actually ex-Neve employees, and Neve is probably a company that you may have heard of before, even if you don't know much about mixers. Neve was also another legendary British mixing company, and they are widely renowned for having an absolutely incredible sound. So these Audix employees, who were ex-Neve employees, based the circuitry from these Audix mixers after the Neve mixers, giving the Audix mixers a truly incredible sound. And I do have to say that the one fader that was working for a little bit of time sounded absolutely phenomenal. But it was incredibly fickle and still technically works, but only one channel. And that kind of is a good segue into the whole eBay debacle. So when we first found this mixer, the original listing that we saw indicated that there was basically nothing wrong with it at all, just some scratchy pots and faders. And that kind of comes with the whole territory of vintage electronic equipment. And that is why we have this stuff on hand. This is great for cleaning the pots and contacts of vintage amps, keyboard instruments, and stuff like this. It works like a charm. So those type of problems wouldn't be a problem at all. However, once it arrives to the studio, we realize that there's a lot more wrong with it than just a few scratchy pots and faders. And after doing some research, we actually find an old listing from an archive site called pickclick.co.uk from what appears to be an old eBay listing from 4 years prior. Let me pull this up on screen and show this to you guys. So in the description of this listing, there is a massive list of known faults, and I'll read them off to you. Group module, main faders, the normal setup setting is 0, and at this setting, there is some distortion of the left-hand output. This increases as the fader is moved downwards towards infinity, and the left signal cuts out at about halfway down. The auxiliary inputs are both working, but the auxiliary level 2 level control is noisy, and the same thing for the auxiliary 1 level control. The monitor output was not tested as no 5-pin X connector and lead available. The headphone monitor output is working, the level control is slightly noisy, and mains hum can be heard on headphones. Power supply. The smoothing capacitors show some electrolyte leakage. There is no output on the tone oscillator, and when the mixer is horizontal, the right-hand PPM pointer sticks on fallback, but that doesn't happen when the mixer is vertical. There may be other faults which were not observed. This should be borne in mind if bidding. The MXT500 has straightforward circuitry, and so a full restoration would not be difficult for a competent technician. But this is not a project for a beginner. A copy of the operating instructions is included, but no circuit diagrams. And that, I think, is the case in point of what everything is wrong with it. Now, we didn't notice the issue with the PPM mixers or pointers sticking, but everything else in there was definitely an issue. Especially that left-hand fader is completely unusable, and the right-hand one is also really fickle as well. That was the one that was partly working, and we could get it to kind of sound amazing, but it normally doesn't. So basically there's many things unfortunately wrong with this amazing mixer, but none of that was disclosed in the listing that we had discovered. So now I think it's time to dive a little bit deeper into the whole eBay debacle and check out some behind the scenes of what happened with the seller who sold us this. One clarification I wanted to make about this Onyx mixer is a question some of you may have had and something I forgot to mention. And that is, the question you may have is, are you sure that the Onyx mixer you received is the same one that you saw in the 4-year-old listing? And I am 100% positive of that. The serial number on this is only 1,147. Not very many MXT 500s were made. That's the name of this. There's also a sticker right here that says Central on it, and it's got a big number. That sticker is in the same place on every listing you will see of this MXT 500. The serial number is the same, and there's also some residues from past stickers on the back of the instrument, or not instrument, the back of the mixer underneath of it, and those residue marks are there on every post you will see of this mixer. So this is literally the only documented Onyx MXT 500 on the entire face of the internet. There are a couple of old PDFs showing like a picture of one in a sales brochure, but other than that, this is the only documented existing MXT 500 on the whole face of the internet, which is absolutely unbelievable. They truly are rare, and that's part of what makes them interesting. But unfortunately, that's also why they're so difficult to work on. And so with this instrument, I keep calling it an instrument, with this piece of equipment being basically unusable, we decided to return it, or at least get a refund. So we contacted eBay and PayPal and all that stuff, but the issue with that is it takes many days to even get a response from eBay or PayPal. You know, there's no real direct contact most of the time, so that's pretty annoying. But after some discussion, we agreed to take a partial refund. So PayPal notified us that a payment was coming, and this, I believe, was on October 2nd. And it didn't come. Usually those things take a day or two when they arrive. So we waited, and we waited, and we waited. It was well over 2 weeks, and still no payment. Still to this day, there has been no payment. So we contacted the seller, partly because he actually wanted us to remove the claim on eBay because the payment was on the way. So then after a while, we contacted the seller saying, where's the payment? It didn't show up. So he was like, no, I sent the payment. And he sent a screenshot showing he sent the payment. But also, something else that was in the screenshot showed that his PayPal account was overdrawn by over $2,500. Aha. That is why the payment never came, because PayPal hasn't even billed his account because there's no money left in it. He owes them money. So even outside of this, though, he was being incredibly difficult, and just was his trust level with us was just dropping off of the charts. He's someone we really don't want to deal with. So that happened on October. Well, he was supposed to send the payment on October 7th, and then, or 2nd, and then on October 17th was when we were just like, okay, this is like, all hope is lost. And that's why I'm making this video, just because I figured I'd fill you guys in on some of the adventures that happen here with equipment. Sometimes it goes real south, and this is one of those cases when it has gone absolutely sour. So we have decided to not actually send it back, and that may seem wrong, but let me explain why. We haven't received the payment, the refund. So if we sent this back to the seller, there's a chance, and I think this chance is very high, that we never would receive a refund either. So we would lose the mixer, we would lose the sizable chunk of money we spent on said mixer. They would just all be thrown away. And seeing as that refund has never come, and probably will never come, I don't really see why there's any need to do anything more. Just hold on to it, and maybe someday we'll be able to find a reputable tech who can actually work on it. eBay and PayPal are very, very difficult. They're using the pandemic as a bit of an excuse as to why not to be as, what's the word I'm looking for, to communicate as well with their customers. But frankly, they've been going this route for many, many years. As the years go on, even pre-pandemic, the eBay wasn't really on point with responding to customers' complaints and issues and feedback, and it's always been kind of an automated thing, and now more than ever they've been very difficult to deal with, and the seller is also very difficult to deal with too. So we're just deciding to keep this and hold on to it, and hopefully find a technician who can someday restore it to its former glory. There are no schematics of these. I know that the seller from 4 years ago said that they're logical and you could repair them if you knew what you're doing without a schematic, and I guess that's what will have to happen. We'll have to find someone who is capable of doing that and someone who I actually trust. And that is difficult, especially again with the whole pandemic thing. Everything is shut down. We've tried to contact recording studios and repair shops and say like, hey, what do you guys know about these? Can you fix this? And no one knows anything about them. And even if they did, they wouldn't really want to fix them because they just don't. So it's going to be very difficult to even get this restored and working. But if that ever does happen, I think it will be amazing. But in the meantime, that is about everything I have to say about this mixer. However, there's one last thing I wanted to talk about in regards to eBay, and that is a video I made rather recently about the $100 piano I bought on eBay. And then I decided, once I bought it and tuned it and made the video of it, I decided to just put it back up on eBay for the same price I bought it for, just for fun, just to see what happens. So you might be wondering, if all of these shenanigans with eBay were happening, why did you put this up on eBay? And honestly, I think part of the reason is just because it's not a super like high quality, super expensive instrument. You know, it's not $4,000. It's not some super rare thing. But the real thing I wanted to touch on is that I'm not going to be using eBay from here on out. I would like to do more videos about buying cheap pianos like that and stuff like that. But then once I'm done with them, I'll probably just give them away to someone instead of sell them on eBay again, because eBay is too difficult to deal with. They really are. So I just wanted to touch on that in case you guys were curious about that. And also another thing in regards to that piano is someone from India actually contacted us asking what the dimensions are of the piano. And for some reason, eBay decided to block this message and intercept it. There was nothing wrong or bad about the message at all. He literally just asked, what are the dimensions of the piano? And eBay intercepted it because they believed that they believed he was trying to skirt around eBay and contact us directly to buy the piano without going through eBay so they wouldn't get their commission. I think they're a little bit overly concerned about that. And that's ridiculous. So that's another reason I don't really want to be selling things on eBay, because being a seller on eBay is just awful. It's really, really terrible to try to sell things on eBay. And that's also why. So apologies to that fellow from India. I'm assuming he probably watches the channel. I do know I have many fans from India. So if you're watching this video, my apologies. Getting back to you, I think it took a few days before I was actually able to reply. But I think that's hilarious. I think that's hilarious that eBay thinks that some guy from India is trying to directly go around eBay to me in the United States so that I can sell it directly to him without what? Why? It's so stupid. So stupid. So, you know, eBay is dumb. PayPal is difficult to deal with. If you ever need to contact them, that just doesn't exist. So I want to distance myself as much from eBay. And hopefully PayPal as much as possible. So that's why I made this video. I just thought I'd make a fun announcement video about things, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video about a mixer. I usually don't do videos like this, but I thought it'd be kind of fun. So hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, you might want to go check out my channel. Typically, I focus on instruments, keyboard instruments, pianos, digital pianos, and all kinds of other cool stuff too. So if any of that sounds neat, you might want to go check out my channel if you're new. If you do that, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.